So the next part I'd like to just focus on is some of our individual entity highlights over the past 2 years, and also touch on a bit of the challenges that we are facing. And I know some of the employees sitting here today or online, joining us online, have experienced some of those challenges. Frustrating as it may be, we are not here to shy away from them. We are definitely going to touch on them and see how we improve going forward. So firstly, with the performance, in our last year's APP, we managed to achieve 80% of our performance targets, which was a huge jump from the COVID year, which was only between 45 to around 50%. So that was a huge jump in last year. We are looking forward to the final results of this year. The financial year just ended, 22-23, and we are at a draft. I'll say draft because it needs to go through audit, and we need it finally to get to the board to approve. But we're sitting around 85 to 90% this year of our performance targets. So from a Fasset perspective, we are working hard. I know the staff, specifically in the project unit, they've been working very hard, and all the support units, I suppose, that support the project unit with our core achievements. It's really a notable increase from the past 2 years. But in saying that, there has been some systemic issues within Fasset. We've gone through a phase where, or we are going through a phase where we are changing ICT infrastructure, which is one of the biggest challenges at the moment. We had previously a system where employers could interact directly with the system and get information from the system on how much levies you've paid, where you are, what has been paid back in terms of the mandatory grant. And that system is currently, the new system of that is currently in process. So we've had challenges in this regard. We have had challenges, technical errors popping up from time to time in implementing the system, where, like the program director mentioned, we needed our IT experts to really come in and sit with the employers and try to understand, where is my WSP? Did it go through? Did all the documents go through? Why am I qualified and not qualified, etc.? So these are the challenges that we have been facing internally. We are still facing some of these challenges, and we are hoping that the current financial year, which is the 23-24 financial year, we try and iron out a lot of that. It is taking a strain on us internally, and it is definitely, and we do acknowledge the impact and the effect that it's having on our stakeholders as well. Linked to that is the actual the blockages that we've experienced in the actual mandatory grant payments. Last year, I think for around 6 months, we had not made any payments due to these system issues. And I think it was when we had our AGM is where we actually had a session, and we made commitments there to say that before the end of December, we will start making the payments. We had started in December, and then we made another payment in February and a follow-up payment in March. So we have made ways to work around the system temporarily in order to not disrupt that payment process. But we are still going through those challenges, and we do acknowledge those challenges, and we are definitely, it's high priority on the Fasset risk register in order for us to address these challenges. Okay, then a few other things that I'd like to mention as I try and close is something that we've also experienced in trying to roll out some of our programs. There are some programs that we send out and open up windows and we oversubscribed. And then we have a challenge of, okay, is there enough budget for that particular program? But we do also have challenges where we open up a window and then there is not sufficient uptake for those particular programs. And these are the ones that we fall short at the end of the financial year. These are the targets that we don't achieve. Obviously, each and every year that we go into, we'll try and find other ways of trying to meet those targets, approaching maybe some of our stakeholders directly to say, can you not help us with these types of interventions, etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the highlights that I'd like to bring to you today, and I hope that it just brings that interaction between our employers, our professional bodies, our stakeholders, our service providers, just to understand us better as to where we are, what we are facing as challenges, where our priorities are, and also note some of the achievements that we've seen over the past 2 financial years, and hopefully going into the next few financial years. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, CFO. I think we have touched majority of the things at the higher level. I know that PM is going to come and drill down into those factors, especially on the issue that you've just recently mentioned, the over and under subscription or the application. I know you don't like that kind of a thing, like, why am I not getting my money? I applied and whatnot, and you find that we have already exceeded with like ×2 of that application, especially the ones that are in demand, like internships. I think we doubled the number, Godfrey. So even if the CFO has given us the money, but you find that there are still extra companies that they are still in need of those numbers. So that is the biggest challenge that we have. And then also, I think PM, this one she did raise, because it was her concern, the under subscription, where she was then suggesting that maybe in an upcoming years we will need to form some kind of in other sectors they call them chambers. Each companies, like professional bodies, will form their chamber, and you know, we divide it so that we make sure that people actually applied for their specific window or their applications. They know that this is our target. Nobody plays around this kind of a window or a grant. So it's actually going to assist us in those challenges that the CFO is raising. And then also the system issue, I think this one, I know that you want to kill us. We are really struggling on this one, but we are trying our best. Let me just tell you that if you send an email, don't wait until, you know, the end. Like the last 3 days, the system just collapsed. Like if you wait, like right now, we are still in an ample of time. If you guys can try to, you know, submit those WSP, it makes our life easier because we can be able to have enough resources. So because we have some people who are calling online, some are on Teams, some are securing appointments. So while I'm busy with another one, some it's just small and technical glitches there and there. So it's actually make it easy for us to deal with the problem while we still have time. But if you wait until, as we have extended with a month, so we have extended because we're supposed to close in April, so we have extended with the whole month. So the stakeholders will wait until that last 3 days, and it's a weekend. Nobody's available. I'm only, like, I'm giving Spencer, I'm giving Godfrey, said, guys, can you assist, because I'm receiving an influx of calls, and it's actually the system cannot handle that number of people that are working on it at that particular time. So I really want to plea on this one so that we are able to make sure that, because last year we had the cry, ego is like, my brother, it's 1 a.m. in the morning, and there is a stakeholder, 1 a.m. in the morning, connecting on Teams. We had to make appointment until 11:59, so that we make sure that everybody submit. But if we can use the time while we still have the ample time on our side, it can actually, assist all of us on that one. So we really want to plea on those challenges so that we are able to tackle it easy. Of course, the return in investment. I know that CFO loves the money, so he lives for money, so he needs that. So for our project colleagues, we really want to actually plead with the stakeholders, professional bodies, find those partnerships. They're actually the way for us to make sure that once those kids are done with their articles for 3 years, there's one company that is ready to absorb them. If it is a 1-year program, the internship, there is a company that that partnership actually assists you to say that after this program, after I've hosted this person for a year, I'm able to pass that person. It's either municipality or a professional board, another professional board, or an SMME. They are looking for that intern, which already knows what is happening in an audit space, tax, accounting. So they need somebody that is already trained so that they can absorb the person to be an admin. So we really appeal on those areas. So thank you so much, CFO. We can give him a round of applause. He really tries. He knows that we always tease him on this one. There is another video, the career awareness video. I want us to look at it quickly.
So our school is quite very under development. We currently have an enrollment of 1,400 learners.
Most of the classes, especially in lower grades, have more than 70 students.
So having such initiatives from facets and rural to rural does bring some different perspective to our learners.
I'm so grateful for this opportunity for rural to rural to visit our school, to challenge, inspire them, and also to give them hope about the possibilities in life, irrespective of where you come from.
Thank you so much for this initiative. It really will make a really difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know that there are some of the stakeholders that are joining online. We just want to acknowledge them as well. And also, I know that we'll be having the Q&A session, but I know they will be having questions. They can draft them on the chat box so that we can be able to answer from here and them as well, so that they can benefit while they are joining online. Then I will call Programs Manager Mama Roti for our project update. This is where the playground, I know that everybody now is waiting there. What is the numbers? What are we getting this year? So over to you, PM. We need those numbers.
Even if we extend ourselves, we're still short. Okay. Good morning. Let me start by greeting our chairperson of the board, Mr. Matibela, our acting CEO, Mr. Zakaria Ali, our CEO in absentia, our Fasset team that are joining here physically, including Fasset management, our stakeholders that are present here. Finally, we get to see some of you. We have been engaging in multiple times, but online, but finally today we get to see your faces, and then also acknowledging the stakeholders that are joining us online. Again, thank you so much. Today, I'll say my job is a little bit easier. The chairperson of the board is here. He has already outlined their strategy. So whatever I'm presenting today is actually aligned to their strategy. If there are any complaints, if you are not happy about anything, the decision makers are here today. Unlike when I'm actually doing it in terms of the outlining the criteria for the DG, now you've got an opportunity to influence anything that you're not happy with. So my presentation, sorry about that. All right, thank you. My presentation is actually covering these 6 areas. I will be outlining the changes in relation to the annual performance plan in the 2023-2024 financial year, We will also be looking into our implementation strategy. This will actually assist us in terms of understanding why certain criteria that are being used in terms of the allocation. We will also look into the discretionary grants evaluation process, looking into the 2023-2024 discretionary grants window, including the 2023-2024 mandatory grants submission process. We'll also look into the QCTO qualification realignment. In a nutshell, in terms of our APP, we just made some few amendments in relation to our 2022-2023 APP compared to the current financial year. So we've got around 5 changes that we have made, but they're not really a lot. The first one, obviously, we have just increased our number of indicators or the targets on the APP, specifically focusing on Program 3, because we've got 4 programs in totality, but all our projects in terms of implementation with regard to our discretionary grants is actually sitting in under Program 3. That's why I am not going to touch on other programs except for Program 3. So as I already indicated, we've increased the number of indicators in the current financial year from 37 to 40, which resulted in us having to have new indicators that would have been added on as a result of one of the indicators that we have reduced that speaks to our lifelong learning. We've actually reallocated the budget from there to fund the 3 new indicators that we have actually added in the current financial year. We also have 1 target where we would have also reduced, but it does not have any financial implication in the current financial year. We've also had 1 indicator that we have redefined, which basically resulted in us having to increase the numbers as well in terms of that particular target. We also have 5 more targets that we have increased as well. Moving to the new indicators that we have added is exactly what the chairperson of the board was highlighting, to the fact that we also need to respond to the employees' needs within our sector. You will note that in the previous APP, we did not really have indicators specifically for our employees within the sector. The only target that was actually speaking to our employees was the lifelong learning. But based on the concerns that were raised by the sector, this is how we have responded to say that let's have 3 new indicators to respond to their needs. The first one speaks to our employed bursaries for our employed learners. We also have now skills programs for our employed learners. We will also have professional body program for our employed learners. We know that there are a number of individuals that would have completed their articles, but they would not necessarily have completed their exams to also qualify for certain professional designation. So with us introducing this particular program, it will address some of the concerns that will have been raised in relation to that particular group. Moving to the next one, I've already touched on this too, to say that we've got targets that we have reduced. The lifelong learning, I've already spoke about it in my previous slide, to say we have since reduced that particular target from 24,500 to 5,000. And then the next one is the partnerships with our higher learning institutions, specifically our universities or University of Technologies. We have actually reduced that particular target as well. Hence, I was talking about that it does not have any financial implication as well. However, we still need them in the current financial year for implementations of some of our programs. Moving to the next slide, this slide actually touched on the programs or the indicators where we have we have increased the target. The first one speaks to the trade unions, and the chairperson of the board has already highlighted that, the fact that we need to work with our trade unions within the sector. This is in responsive to that. Again, the next one, he spoke about the partnerships with our CET colleges. We've got that target that speaks to number of CET partnerships that we're going to establish in the current financial year, and the target has since increased to 2 in the current financial year. He also spoke about capacitations around our TVET colleges. Hence, we've also increased the target for our TVET lectures when it comes to the bursaries. So we have since increased that target from 30 to 40 in the current financial year. Our CFO also touched on the issue of the learners from high school level. Hence, we've increased the target from this particular one from 600 to 1,000 in the current financial year. The transformation element that the acting CEO as well as our chairperson of the board spoke about, the transformation specifically focusing on females. Hence, we have actually increased the target from 50 in the previous financial year to 500. And this is on the basis to say we've seen the number of applications that we have received based in our first 2 cohorts that we have actually implemented, and we've noted the high demand from the sector when it comes to this kind of a program as well. We've also increased the budget in terms of the target in relation to our TVET College, the bursaries around the TVET College learners as well, already linked to what the chairperson has already alluded in the fact that we need to start looking into our TVET colleges as well. Now, on the next slide, I'm not going to go through all this thing. It's just all these programs. Basically, it's all the programs that are sitting under our program 3. So when we are going to open a window, all the windows or the grants that will be advertising will be speaking to this particular slide, including the previous ones that I've already touched on, including the next one. So in total, as already indicated, we've got around 40 programs that are sitting under program 3. And then, fortunately for us, I think the marketing and communication stakeholder manager will be able to share this presentation with all our stakeholders so that you can be familiar with all the programs within the Fasset. Now, on the interesting part, the implementation strategy. Yeah, some of them you're already aware of them. The opening of the discretionary grants window. This is something that happens on an annual basis. But what we have introduced as well as what the program director has already highlighted, that some of the programs we tend to struggle with getting the applications, and we have opted to enter into a strategic partnerships with some of the stakeholders to be able to assist us in terms of implementation of such program. And then we've also, to ensure that we actually serve the entire country, some of these targets will also be administered internally. We are also looking into co-funding in some of the projects to be considered as well. The reason why we are saying co-funding, that we've got limitation in terms of our budget as well from our side. And one of the things that we are saying that we need to be increasing the number of beneficiaries or that will be benefiting will be the learners that are living with disabilities. Now, training an individual that is living with disability versus a normal person is quite pricey because there are other tools that are involved in terms of the training. And this is the area where we are saying that Fasset, we would like to get into those co-funding partnerships so that the element of the devices in terms of the needs that is required for that particular individual, this is the area that it will assist in terms of the co-funding. I'm just mentioning few. We will also be accelerating our programs in the rural areas. Again, the chairperson of the board did indicate that we need to then tap into our rural areas. Fasset is not an urban institution. So the other element is, this is a plea from us to say we need to enter into a partnership with our sector, especially in terms of capacitation of our TVET lectures, in terms of exposing them to the industry, to ensure that when they do facilitate the subjects, at least they've got a deeper understanding and they are relevant in terms of the contents that they will be touching on. So this is the area where we are also actually humbly requesting the sector to open their doors for us to be able to place those lectures to be exposed to the industry as well. The other element the program director also touched on is the establishing of the working committees of the subsectors within the SETA. What we have identified is that when we try to implement some of the program, specifically on SMME support, we have advertised 4 programs in the previous financial year. But I can tell you the number of applications that we have received was way below. So to a certain extent, from where we are seated, maybe perhaps we are not really responding to the needs of the SMMEs. And we are hoping that through these particular structures, we should be able to come up with programs that are specifically for the SMEs from the different sectors and to be able to respond accordingly. So that is one of the elements that we are saying. Even the skills programs that we have introduced for our employed learners, this is the committees that should be also assist in terms of developing the skills programs that are designed to actually assist the employees that are currently in the workforce. Lastly, I just wanted to highlight, I know that this was a bit of a surprise for some of our applicants in the previous financial year, whereby we have introduced the element to say the stakeholders that will be actually benefiting from our programs should be both non-levy payer employers as well as pay employers. So this is what we do normally. We also check the SDL numbers, whether your levies are coming to Fasset. There are some employers that we have identified when we were doing that particular exercise that they have been benefiting from Fasset, but their levies are not coming to Fasset. And as a result, we had to decline. And it was a shocker for them because in the previous financial years, they've always been getting grants from Fasset. And this was one of the elements we were saying, no, if you want to benefit from Fasset grants, you also need to make sure that you assist in terms of the revenue for the organization, Yeah. So those are the areas that we will be looking into in terms of the implementation strategy for the current financial year. Now, just moving into the discretionary grants evaluation process. This is the process that we are following. I know that in the previous financial year, it might have been a bit a prolonged process. I will say that from our side, we have identified our loopholes, and we will try as much as we can to plan accordingly and ensure that we actually complete the process within the time that we would have communicated to our stakeholders. I will say that as the program director has already indicated, as much as we might have planned, the number of applications that we have received in some of the programs, there are a lot. So as a result, it might have taken us longer to actually do the assessment, including the due diligence process. So the steps already, some of you might already be aware of the steps we do. We actually have a grants evaluation committee responsible for the evaluation of the applications. That's why sometimes if you ask Mama Roti to say what's the process, I wouldn't really know because I might not necessarily be the member of that particular evaluation committee that would have been selected. So it's kind of like an independent process that we would have introduced. The other element, there's a due diligence process that happens to say, whatever that you would have highlighted on your application, is it really the case? That's why there is a site visit that happens. There are certain documents that are requested over and above what would have been submitted at the time you were applying for the grant. And after the due diligence process, based on the outcome of the due diligence process, there will be the grant adjudication committee. So this committee is the one that actually recommends to the CEO for whether they approve the applications or not. And so it's not necessarily Mama Roti that says I'm declining or I am approving. It's the responsibility of that particular committee in terms of that particular recommendation. Moving to the next slide, this is basically the planned dates in terms of opening our DG window. We are planning to open this month, and then the end date will be the 31st of July 2023. We will also have the capacitation session where we will be going into too much details in terms of the criteria for each grant or each program. We will also be taking you through the actual application forms in terms of what is it expected from our stakeholders when you submit. We will also highlight some of the challenges or the loopholes that we would have identified from the previous financial year, so that we've also noted from our side some of the loopholes as well from our side, and we've tried to close the gaps that you would have communicated from your side as well. These slides just basically speak to our mandatory grant submission. Already highlighted in terms of the legislative date, it was the 30th of April. However, the chairperson of the board being here, He has actually approved that we extend it to the 31st of May, thanks to him, understanding the challenges around the system as well, so that we don't find ourselves in a situation where you are not able to submit. So, but hoping that the system issues are resolved, I'm not sure whether we'll still be extending on the 31st of May, because it does have any implications in terms of our sector skills plan. The WSP informs the development of our sector skills plan, which the first draft needs to be submitted in mid-June. Basically, when we have extended here, it then means the research department only has got 2 weeks to actually do an assessment in relation to your WSPs that would have been submitted. So I thought, let me just give you a bit of a background in terms of some of the implications when we say we are no longer extending. Is on the basis to say there are other legislative requirements that we need to comply with as well from our side. Just to highlight on a high level in terms of our policy, in terms of our requirements for your for your mandatory grants applicants to be approved. Number one, you must be paying your levies to SARS and the finance and accounting sector. You need to make sure that your levies are up to date in terms of the contributions. You need to have achieved at least 75% of your plain training as per your WSP that you would have submitted in the previous financial year. The reason why this was actually introduced was on the basis that you find that some of our stakeholders would have submitted a WSP, but in terms of implementation, it's actually less than 10% or even just below 50% mark. So we are asking ourselves that, are you really contributing towards the skills development that is required? Because if that's the case, you cannot be getting this particular SDL. The other element is that the WSP and ATR must be signed by all parties. The reason why we've included this is that we need to make sure that the relevant people have actually signed off this particular important documents. And then the SDL number, as per the WSP, must be aligned to our SARS file, meaning that it cannot be that by the time I get the levies from SARS, there is a different SDL number to what you would have submitted to us. And then the other element is we do acknowledge that there are some entities that might have been merged, As a result, it might have include a new levy number that would have been used. As a result, we are saying that Fasset must be notified within 14 days of those changes. Now, we have already highlighted that the mandatory grant submission has since been extended to the 31st of May. And then some of the stakeholders might already be aware that we are having capacitation sessions on a weekly basis. It's on Fridays. It's from 9 to 11 o'clock, if some of you guys are not aware. So you do have an opportunity to raise any concerns in relation to your submission. It could be in terms of the form of requesting assistance in terms of the certain elements. The team will be available to take you through, even to the extent of assisting in terms of uploading some of the documents that you might have been having challenges around. The next part, which is the last part of my presentation, is the QC2O qualification realignment. We are all aware that majority of, let me rather just say, all the qualifications within the SETA landscape, they are due to expire on the 30th of June 2023. Basically, on this one, as a result of that, we are saying that the accreditation process within the organization, specifically for the two qualifications that we have been responsible for, which is the debt recovery and the credit management. The assessor, as well as the accreditation in relation to those qualifications, they are currently under suspension, meaning that we can't be accredited or evaluating any applications concerning those particular qualifications. But nevertheless, as much as the qualifications will be expiring, the latest enrollment for those learners that are currently on the system is in 2024. And then we are currently in the process of the realignment of the occupations. And then as a result, there will be a constant update on our website. Through our mailers as well, we will be able to send you an update in relation to this particular element. Other than that, that will bring me to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so so much, Program Manager. I think you have covered almost everything at the highest level. As she has mentioned, we will have our windows coming through. Maybe we'll have to do the similar approach that we are having on the mandatory grant of having maybe sessions every Friday for the DG, because I know that it's the one that has the biggest headache. So each and every application form, then we can have those engagement. I think, Spencer, we are slightly having lesser stakeholders now every Friday. Igor, we're almost covered here on the MG?
We're sitting about 500 submissions.
Okay. I think after maybe we are done with the queries of the MG, I think we can even use the same platform now for the new applications, because they are going to be out soon. So I think it will assist us, because you find that the loopholes that Mamaroti is talking about, we're finding a lot in terms of the application forms. Some of them, you just find somebody ticking and then doesn't sign the application form. There is like no information, and then said, no, I'm applying for this. And as she was showing that cycle of people who are sitting in that committee, this committee, that first committee looks everything in terms of the administration. So once there's something that is missing on the application form, definitely the application is out. But it was there. But for some reason, because the person is usually applying for this grant, then you just take it lightly and then just write only one or two things. But the rest of the pages, they have nothing. And it's actually a frustration, let me tell you. And then you come at the end, you complain, and then whenever oh no, I was not aware it was done by the SDF, but you were supposed to know about it. Because to us, we assume that it's coming from SAICA. Sorry to cite SAICA. I will say that it's coming from Mukuku, because it's written SAICA. The application is written SAICA. So I expect that Usiskuku and the team will have gone through the application form. And the sad part about it is that the senior people comes at the end. Whenever these applications are coming to us, the senior person is not there to assist in the application. But whenever that committee seat, they find that no, the application form is having a lot of missing gaps. And we cannot assume. We cannot even call you back, because there's like about 6,000 applications in one program. Different committees are sitting in those applications. So I want to appeal on this one. Please, even if before you submit, you can even call us. You can call me, call Spencer, anybody. Call us so that we can just look at the form. I know that it won't be a feasible thing, but at least just to make sure that you have covered those areas. Because once we reject it there is no other process that we just send the rejection. Last year we said we will have those letters going out, so that and then we write. And some of the people don't like that. They fight. They fight that I'll send to the CEO, send to the chairperson if they are connected to the chairperson. And I still say that here's the application form. It doesn't have what I'm looking for. So can we work around that? Thank you so much, PM. I think this platform now I will hand over to you for the QA session. Questions? I know that the online, the marketing guys will assist us on the other questions online. Yes, ma'am. Do we have an extra microphone that we can use? Colleagues will assist me in taking some of the questions so that I don't lose anyone. Okay, I see one hand here. There's another hand. There's just one hand aside. Yes, ma'am. Your name and the surname and the company name.
Okay, morning
SA
everyone.
Tax, yeah.
My name is Mangele Kumalo. I'm from SA Taxi.
Yes.
I think one of the gripe that I have is around the implementation document that you guys require in terms of submitting for DG. What I see, there are elements where you find that as a business, we don't have some of the things in place. And how can we expect Fasset to waive some of the processes within the implementation process if we don't have that in place within the organization? Thank you.
Do you have an example? Because, like, as you're saying, that it differs in terms of the
Correct.
the programs.
So maybe let me utilize the learnerships.
Yeah.
Not the learnerships. Let me use the TVET because I've been benefiting more from it, and you guys for the past few years haven't been giving me. So, for an example, the industry that I'm in, it's taxis, right? In terms of me getting the mentors, it's quite challenging. We are always on the road. We are always manufacturing, fixing cars, and all of that. Can Fasset be more open to say maybe we can have external mentors or have mentors from the NPOs that we are affiliated with, if possible?
Okay, thank you. PM, do you want to respond on that one? Do we have other questions so that we can maybe do the rounds? Okay, I think there's some questions online. Have one mic there, Banel, or you have written it down?
Good day, everyone. I've got a question here. The first question is, they are experiencing frustrations in dealing with QTCO and getting EISA.
Okay, the QCTO matter. Okay. There is that question. Another one?
The second one is, can we still access the system even after we have submitted
Submitted what? The
applications?
The WSP, I think, because this is the only thing that we are using there. Okay.
The third one is struggling to register a company on the system. We require assistance.
I presume it's an NLP, if I'm not mistaken. Igor, I think you have to assist on the system issue for the access. Afterwards, I think that question, there is a third question. Sir? Okay. Okay, do we have another question? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Dakalo from Newton Business Services. So I just wanted to find out in relation to the assessor and moderator registration being suspended, can we still renew the assessor and moderator accreditation or registrations for our facilitators, taking into consideration that the last enrollment date is next year, 2024 June? Can we still, if their accreditation or registrations expire, can we still renew them?
Okay. PM, can you take some of the questions, or we'll take another round? Just for us, just to respond to that. Just one mic for the lady. Thanks, ma'am. Okay, this mic is not working. Okay, you can come here then.
Okay, just gonna respond to some of the questions that have been raised. The ICT related questions, we've got our ICT manager here as well in our midst. He should be able to assist on that one, those ones as well. The first one speaks to the issue of the implementation of documents that are required. Some of them, unfortunately, they are mandatory documents that we can't necessarily waive them. But if we can provide alternative ways of producing the documents that are required, will be accepted. For example, you've raised the issue of the mentors. That is a critical component of the training in terms of our guidelines. But if you are able to identify mentors that are outside the organization that will be able to assist the learners, that will still be fine. As long as we can prove that they are competent and they are able to actually do what they're supposed to be doing, we don't have issues with regard to that. But in terms of the waiving, some of the elements is just not possible. Okay. In response to the issue of struggling to register on the system, is it the one that we are assuming that is the NLP registration? I would say we suggest that the stakeholder actually contact us, either myself and or the program director. They will be able to get assistance from any of us. We can actually schedule for that sitting to assist with the challenges. The last questions in terms of the renewal of the facilitators, it's quite a tricky one. Because currently in terms of the accreditation, actually there's nothing that is happening from our side. Basically, we have suspended everything that pertains to that. So unfortunately at this point, we won't be able to assist. All right. Igor, can I then request you to respond to the system-related questions? Thank you.
Okay, it's working. Regarding registration on our Odoo system, I think some people have experienced issues because it doesn't send emails out. So when you try to reset your, like in the standard way, like it works in other systems, that's not working. So what we have done is we've trained our call center staff, and someone will have to quote the call center number for me, but I know that the email address is fassetcallcenter@fasset.org.za, and they will assist you to reset your password for you or help you register. Yeah, so it's an email not triggering type of issue there. And Mr. Koza, was there another question other than that?
Just after we have submitted the WSP, so do they still have that kind of an access to just go through the form after they've submitted?
So after you submit it, you can't change your submission.
Yes.
And you can't create another submission, and you can't delete that submission. So that's why you have to be very careful very diligent and check your submission before you actually submit it.
Yeah.
That there's a control mechanism that we have on the system.
Yeah, I think on that one, really, I think you can, because I think we do have some issues which are like that, but they can access, like looking the WSP, but nothing they can actually do after that. Nathan, you want to follow up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean,
No, speak, it's fine.
okay, cool. So, of course, everybody must be diligent, but mistakes happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you do identify a mistake, is there a way that they can engage with Fasset directly if a mistake is identified?
Ego, because even on our side, Ego, we can't do any edit.
Yeah, we can't do any edit.
Can you put a nice big red block letters that say once you submit and push this button, all is final, nothing can change?
Maybe Mr. Rivera Green can put that red button next to submit, that double check first, because I think we will have some of those companies, but they're not allowed.
I'm not personally planning to have any mistakes. I'm just letting you know. But it worries me.
Yeah, I think the most challenge that we are experiencing, Ego, I was chatting with Ego as well, to say that the biggest companies are the ones that are having challenges. And now my biggest frustration about them, they haven't submitted as yet. I think there's one company that have submitted around 2000, what, Igor, 2004?
20,000 records.
Yes, 20,000. There's one company. And looking at the super large companies that we are having, one company. So they wait until the end. Then there's a lot of mistakes that are going to happen there. So hence I said that use this time so that whenever you're encountering problems, we still have like enough resources, and then you submit while you still have time. So that those issues, we can actually raise those issues easily, and then we can sort it out. The issue of QCTO, I will request this person send an email to myself and Nomadlozi. Professional bodies, we had an engagement with QCTO. They have changed the way we've been doing things before. Your AQAP's MOUs are coming to an end. So Fasset now is taking that role of an AQP. So as a quality partner, everything has to be submitted to us, and then us submitting to QCTO. So they are no longer entertaining anything that is coming from the stakeholders. So if you need anything, you have to send it to us so that we have the records of those things, and then we can send it to relevant people within QCTO. That's how they are working going forward. So the person that is having some struggles, please send an email to myself and Nomadlos as well, so that we can attend to this matter. The issue of the struggle to register the company, I'm suspecting here it's an NLP. We do have a manual process that we are using. We will have to meet that stakeholder. You can send an email to us. We will try to assist you on this one so that you are able to register as the non-levy payer within our system. Takalo, I think Umamaroti has covered you on this one. Yeah. Do we have another round of questions?
Yes, we do have one request from Chantel, which is, good day, please can you send out reminders regarding the WSP and ATR capacitation sessions as well as the extension? And then there's another question, which is, if previously registered with the services SETA and has submitted an application form to transfer from the services SETA to Fasset, but the application has to go through their executive committee for approval and consideration, would Fasset consider these applicants if proof is provided that the request for transfer has been submitted? And what information would Fasset require from the services SETA? And then there's another question from Samara, which is from Esm Taung, is the suspension of assessors and moderators only on the two mentioned qualifications or on all? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Good day, everyone. My name is Lucky Mdunge from Salungano Group. I just want to ask something. My company changed the name to the new name, and then what is the process or what is the procedure that I must follow, because we want to submit the WSP with a new name? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Igor, do you want to? Oh, okay. Oh. Yes, it's good.
Oh, thank you.
This will be the last question because I'm taking about 555 so that we are able to attend it.
Thank you. I wasn't going to ask any questions, I decided, but this one is bothering me.
Yeah.
The issue of targets. How did you arrive at those targets that Mama Ruti was mentioning? I'm very worried about the 100. And Mr. Chairperson spoke about transformation being important to Fasset, and we know how those numbers look like. So I just want to understand how you arrive at those numbers. Was it because of the budget or, yeah. Thank you.
I
The
think
new
that
ones.
there was the first ones, all the ones that we have minus. I think it was the employed target. She's referring to this ones. Okay, can we maybe answer some of the questions? Igor, I saw you wanted to jump in for your question. Which question do you want to respond to?
I think it was the one where the stakeholder wants to change the name of a company on our system.
Yes.
Okay, so that one's quite easy. Just give a call to the call center. They've been trained to change the name or change the trading name. The important thing is that the SDL number hasn't changed, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, then it should be no problem.
Okay. So, like, are you sorted on that one? Yes. Okay, PM, do you have anything to take here? Nothing. Okay, on my side for the interseater transfer, this one is a very tricky one because currently the DHEAD system is not working. So we are having a challenge that we cannot take whatever you guys are submitting to us. The system is not working altogether. So whenever we need to receive the form that is already signed by the executive that side from Services Sita, the CEO, Mr. Fagute, and then to us, then our CEO signs it, and then we send it to DHEAD. They are manually doing that interseater transfer. So here we really rely on the submitted form that is already authorized by the executive on the other side, and then we submit it to DHEAD when it's signed by our CEO. That is the only process that we are having. So if it still has to go to your internal executive side, unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do at that particular moment. So which means you will still have to submit your WSP under Services Sita until that process is through. Then you'll be able to be assisted on that. May I please request maybe I think it was an online question, the reminder for the MG sessions and the windows. May I please request those email addresses for the stakeholders to write it on the chat to be invited on those sessions so that they are being included. Spencer, please make sure that you get that for me so that they are on the session tomorrow and they can also benefit on this training, because right now, I don't think, because we normally add them as they send their emails to say that they want to be part of the session if they are having any challenges. The suspension of two qualification. Did you get them? I would say my question won't be straight on this one, because even on the other historical qualification that we are having, they are coming to an end. So either way, all the qualifications, all the historical qualifications are coming to an end. So all the sitters are doing the realignment. So the only people that are going to survive that are already on the program itself. So those ones they are not going to be disadvantaged, because they will have to go through the entire thing, do the quality assurance and then certificate space. But on the new applications, nothing is being entertained at the current moment. So everything, I'll say that it's on standstill, because both sides, it's not only us, even on professional bodies as well, they are starting to request their alignment for their qualifications as well. So this one, I'll say either of the two and the other ones that are from the sector. I think the Igor has covered this one. Do you want to?
No, since I'm a chartered accountant, simple budget. Yeah, I think on my presentation, I did highlight that the budget that we were utilizing for the lifelong learning is the one that we've actually utilized to actually fund the 3 new added targets. So if we did not do that, we will not necessarily have any money to actually cater for that group. So we had to take that decision too. Yeah, thank you. I am not limited to SAICA only. It will depend on the number of applications that we have received. Obviously, we'll be guided by the interested applicants. Other than that, I can't really say it will be SAICA or another professional body. All of them are important.
Thank you, PM. I think on this one, maybe we should explain that Cisco, this is a new target. So I'm sure Chairperson on the next round, once we achieve it on the new window, he will then propose why are we sitting at 100. So maybe let's just look at how you guys are responding to it. Then from there we can do then evaluation. Of course, the CFO would not like that, but yeah. We will have to see that, are we able to meet that 100? How many applications? Because the indication will tell us that are we receiving 200 in the new, because this will be like a new window. So if we are receiving 200, then there will be a need to say that, okay, there is actually a need. Then we can look at other target that we can take it down like LL we did. So, and then we push it to this one so that we are able to manage that budget. The good news is that the lunch is ready at the hotel restaurant downstairs. So please don't leave without having that food. We have paid for it. Let me just take another round of questions. We don't want to have a fruitless expenditure, CFO, so we need you to eat that plate. Please make sure that you grab something there. Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Paulina Halane from My Family Project and Consulting. I'm not sure whether my question would actually be relevant, for this, but yeah, maybe you'll be able to answer me. With the issue of the internship, I just want to ask if whether Fasset for this current financial year, they are perhaps maybe going to consider allocating a budget for the project management. And the reason being is that as a small company, obviously we want to participate, but sometimes, it's a bit, difficult, especially if you have to manage the stipend, and then money comes into your bank, but then you have to end up paying fees for the bank from your own pocket if there isn't any money allocated for project management. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question. There's a hand that side. Yes, sir. Oh, there is another. Sorry, I didn't see you.
No problem. Good morning, everyone. Janice Fulyoon from NIASA. Just a few questions. I would like to know, you guys have mentioned the capacitation session. I'm speaking discretionary grants specifically. The capacitation sessions, will it be held online or will it be physical? One. Number two is, will we be notified when the window open? Because the notification on the board just said May to end of July, just so that we also know in terms of planning. And then will the window be opened simultaneously for all the indicators that you guys have mentioned? If you can just give us some clarity on that, please, sir. Thanks.
Okay, sir.
Hello, my name is Desiree Timgum from Spectrum Graduate School of Business. The question I need to find, I would like clarity on is relating to the bursary program.
Yes.
I need to find out, is this bursary only applicable to learners who need to apply through public institutions or through private higher institutions? The reason I'm asking this question is because last year we had a lot of learners who wanted to enroll on some of the programs, but they were rejected based on the fact that they are not aligned with public universities or higher education institutions. But at the same time, some of those learners were rejected by those higher educational institutions. How do they benefit from this process? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Another question before we answer? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Okay, good day. I have a question regarding TVET students, especially the ones that has like financial management qualification. Maybe someone has maybe passed with distinctions. Why can't they maybe have like to motivate other learners so that they can like be on top, like maybe to have a trip, as much as people that like, not a trip as such, but as much as people that are studying to become a CA. They get an opportunity to study overseas, to work overseas. Why can't TVET students also get that opportunity to also study, like to also work overseas, because of it's limited? Some people, I'm gonna speak on behalf of me. When it comes to me, I did my qualification at TVET College, which is I did financial management, and we were told that we would get like a trip to Netherlands if ever you get like certain distinctions and you want to do your practicals overseas. Why can't we get like an opportunity, especially for the finance industry, to go work overseas and get that experience that we want as much as CAs do, you know?
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I'm getting you at the end. I wasn't getting you. Now I'm getting you. Okay. PM, do you have questions that you want to answer? I do have mine as well.
Sorry. I'm leaving the difficult ones to you. Project management internship. But nevertheless, I'm just, just to respond to the issue of the capacitation sessions. For us, we will be having those sessions online. As already indicated by the program director, we will be also using the same approach where we'll also have weekly sessions as well. So that will be done online. In relation to the notification, that's what normally happens when we actually open the window. There is a communication that goes out there. However, just make sure that you are registered on our database to ensure that you also get that particular communication. The other thing that you can do, you can follow us on the social media. You will also be able to see all our notification on the social media as well. I think it will also be easy for you, even if you miss the email. It's easy to access social media. Yeah. The issue of the grants, whether we'll be advertising at the same time, ideally we should be doing that. But I don't foresee it happening based on the number of applications that needs to be processed. There are reviews that are involved in the process, including the approval. So I am not sure that will be possible, but we will try as much as we can, perhaps to target the first 2 weeks of May to ensure that all the grants are advertised. The bursary issue, unfortunately at this point, we are only funding the learners that are studying through our public institutions. However, we note your concerns in relation to what, especially on the basis to say that some of those particular learners would have already been rejected by the public institutions. So the private colleges is another option for them to ensure that they actually study further. Fortunately for us, we are having a EMT strategic session starting on Sunday. And we will take into consideration the concerns that you have just raised and see how we can actually also accommodate such individuals. Thank you.
On the issue of internship, the first question, this one, the criteria only allows us for the NPOs and NGOs to have the project fees. So if you don't fall under those ones, unfortunately, you don't qualify for project fees. It's a criteria. Yes. So I do understand, because you are not the first person to say that there is those banking fees and whatnot, especially when you are taking the bigger numbers. It's a problem for a company, because those bank charges will be more, seeing that you will be receiving not less than 1 million. So especially if you are an implementing agent to place the learners in different companies. So it's usually the best in terms of the money. So, but unfortunately the criteria doesn't allow us for anybody. It's only the NPOs and NGOs and CBOs that qualified for that 7.5 project fees. Yes, ma'am. I think the other questions we have covered. Oh, the last question, the international one. This one, I'll say that yesterday we were launching the project of the similar nature that we are asking. But it's an international internship by us co-funding with another company. So it's usually not us, like directly to the TVET recruiting, having that special. We don't have it in our programs. So it's only the implementing agents that will suggest that, say that after they have, we can take them to 18 months overseas, 12 months for the degrees and diplomas to overseas, but not us as Fasset. I know you don't like that. Yes, Nathan. Yes, we can connect her, but I think they are close, if I'm not mistaken. As we were launching yesterday, I don't think they are still. Maybe in the next cohort, they will have applications, but we will maybe connect you, Godfrey, to assist her so that she can apply for Trust Blue internship program. She wants to go to overseas. I'm sure she will be very happy. Please. Can I take the last round of questions? You've been promising me
something burning. I just want to ask, there was a slide that spoke to lecturer development, particularly in the TV space.
Oh, yes.
And then my question is, can Fasset consider HDIs as well, lecturer development within the HDIs? Again, Mr. Chairperson did mention how committed Fasset is in the rural development. So if we could just...
But that was supposed, you're supposed to propose to us, because you are supposed to be hosting those learners from SAICA.
Okay, they know those that I speak to, that this has been my cry.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
So we are sorted.
Okay.
The next question, please. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for the answer which you provided regarding the project management fee. Okay, I think from where I'm seated, I don't really, have that much problem, but if I'm looking at like a broader perspective of it, so the small companies, they will actually be discouraged to actually participate in these particular programs, given that if they have to actually pop in money from their own pocket to actually fund the bank fees, of which they are not actually being paid for managing the project, obviously they will actually be discouraged. So maybe, perhaps if Fasset maybe in future can actually look into it. That is just my suggestion. Yeah.
CFO?
Thank you.
Can I put you on the spot on this one? Because it's usually like the same issue that comes year in and year out often. Because what we normally say on our space as the project managers, we say that, can people apply for what they can afford in terms of their sizes? But the SMMEs now are saying that, but we do want to go bigger, but here's the challenge.
Yeah, thanks. I think, like you mentioned, Program Director, we've been receiving a lot of these requests. It's twofold. The first thing is, internally at Fasset, there's an administration that needs to happen for those particular programs. And then externally, there needs to be the budget that's available for that 7.5. So ideally, with the internship programs, the concept there is to say those employers that can host these learners will benefit also from the employee cost side. So that's where the balancing factor needs to be taken into account. But I suppose, Program Director, we can take it to our strategic session and see how far we can go with something like that.
Because my biggest fear is that we can even get some loopholes, because some they don't really need it.
Exactly.
Because it's like a free labor for them, because there is a person who's coming out with an honors, practicing to be a CA and going to be in an internship or learnership, and it's benefiting them.
Exactly. Especially when you go after your first 3 months, 4 months, that learner is actually benefiting that employer maybe they charge hourly rates and things like that. So,
Okay.
but it's something that we can look at depending on circumstance by circumstance.
Okay. A follow-up, Natalie.
Yeah, no, so I'm from the South African Institute of Financial Markets, so I'm not talking about training CAs, that's my colleague here. But organizations don't always charge out for their employees, so it doesn't work so neatly as that. But the professional bodies themselves are non-profit organizations, and the employers can and should work through the professional bodies for the funding through the CETA, and thereby alleviate some of those cost implications.
Okay, that is another solution. But I know that it will create a lot of fight, Natalie, because you will be the leader in an application. So she will be your benefit. So this time around, they are the ones that are applying, because in the criteria we have extended to say they should apply direct to us. So that wing of an NPO, because it's a professional body, it can benefit you as a professional body, not them. Because you will qualify getting that 7.5, but they will not be getting that 7.5, of which is their cry to say that. Because even the stipend will coming from you to them. You will decide that you either pay the learners directly or you're paying them, of which they will be just there like as a spare wheel.
So if I pay them, then it's just a process of moving through the NPO, and that doesn't add the value. So the professional body has to add the value. They either have to be part of the recruitment, the placement, and payment of the learners, so that the company benefits with the effort of the professional body.
Okay.
It can't just be a front.
Okay. I don't know, maybe it needs some extra discussions, so that we can look at it. I'm left with 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
Good day. My name is James Reach from the University of the Free State.
Wow. Guys, can I acknowledge University of Free State? Wow. I'm happy because they've been applying for that academic support like nobody's competing with them. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, you can take the floor.
My question is regard to the Fasset bursary. In the past, Fasset was giving a wraparound support, and then they stopped and they gave a fixed amount. Now, at this stage, the fixed amount is not really sufficient to help all the students. And I would request that Fasset will consider, with the new discretionary grant window coming up, that they either increase the amount substantially or they make it open so that the people who do apply can substantiate the costs which the learners will require.
PM, this is yours.
James, I thought we were having a meeting after this. You're putting me on the spot. But nevertheless, we have increased the budget, but it might not necessarily be the amount that you were looking into. So we've increased it to 100,000. It's just 10,000 additional. And then I think from our side, what we've done, remember we had said that should the 100,000 not be adequate or sufficient, we are allowing funding from private sector as well, as long as the money is not coming from the public sector. Yeah. And over and above that, I always make reference to say you must look in terms of our trend, in terms of the bursaries. Previously, the target was very low. That's why we were able to actually accommodate in terms of the costs that were involved. But when you look at the previous years versus the current target, for example, we're sitting at 1,200. Previously, it was even less than 500. So we needed to find ways to be able to accommodate that particular number as well. But at least 10,000 yen. I hope it helps.
Okay, I'm getting another one from the chat. There's been some complaints on the HET and NSC to say that we have decreased the amounts, I think, for the training fees. I think the adjustment that we have made, I think it was precisely because of, I wouldn't put it bluntly that there were just some that were misusing the system because we were paying that bigger amount. But the challenge comes whenever we need the supporting documents of those training fees. We struggle until we request the company to pay back that money, or we credit note it on the next payment. Hence, we then did that consultation to say that how much actually goes to that. That's when we then got, actually it's not even that bigger amount. So we're keeping on capping those amounts because we saw that whenever now, because they can give you the proof of stipend that we have paid the learner, but whenever you need then additional training fees and whatnot, we were not able to get those things. So hence we then said, let's just cap it so that we don't give you an allowance of overspending, but you cannot account for the money that you've received. So I think that question was coming from the chat. Colleagues, thank you so much. If you do have other questions, we can still take it offline. But thank you so much. We have come to the end of our program. We will engage if you do have any other challenges. We will assist you and help you where you need some help. We are here for you. Our work really relies on you. Whatever you're giving us or whatever we are providing it for you. So with that word, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. Travel safe. Thank you.